What's up guys, it's the Cheapster here, back with another video, freshly mustached, ready to go. So this is going to be a little bit different format than what I normally do. This is kind of just going to be one take, not going to be doing much cutting. But I thought I would get into this. I did want to talk a little bit about stocks that I'm very interested in, probably in 2023. I don't think the stock market's going to do much at the end of this year in 2022. If anything, I expect it to kind of go down a little bit more than where we are. I'm not so sure. I'm one of those people who doesn't think we really truly had the bottom yet. Of course, you can always be wrong, but I thought I would talk a little bit about some of the stocks I'm really bullish in 2023 and some of my reasons for that. Because obviously with starting the Side Hustle Millionaire portfolio, working for these different companies, these different stocks, crypto, stuff like that, there's a lot of stuff that I've kept my eye on that I'm very excited to get invested in and invest more money. And I do want to say before I get started that obviously none of this is financial advice. I'm not some kind of stock analyst or something like that. I feel like I have a decent eye for good companies that people like using and stuff. I mean, there's been companies in the past I've seen like Chipotle where I was like, you know, let's put money into that. That's a good company, but I was too young, or Tesla, stuff like that. So I think I have a decent eye for it. But like I said, I'm not a stock analyst. I'm not somebody who like really can dig into the company financials. I can kind of read them a little bit. I at least make sure that they're not, you know, just terrible companies that are going to go to zero. I do hold AMC though in my Side Hustle Millionaire portfolio though, so I'm not so sure about that. But let's just get into it and let's see what's on the list of 10 stocks. So starting out with number 1 is Roku, and this is kind of funny because Roku's been really in the news recently because of Cathie Wood. If you know her, she bought a big position in Roku, and without even knowing that, I was really interested in Roku just because it was a company that really stood out to me as a company that I think can really have a lot of legs in the future for being able to just innovate and be very good in the streaming space. And you can see their price right here. They were at the peak of $473 or somewhere around there, $473 at a peak, and now they are down to $70. So that's a pretty wild price change. So I always like to look for those too, because when you're investing money, obviously if you're getting a good deal, which a lot of stuff is a good deal right now, that's kind of how a lot of these stocks are that you're going to see. They're very down. So I mean, you can see they're back down to March. I mean, this is the price point now is already back down to close to 2018. I mean, you got prices back in 2018. It's crazy. That's a really good deal if the company is going to be good and last, which I think Roku is a really good company, because if you've used any kind of streaming platforms or anything, you've probably known that they can be really bad. I've got Vizio, I've got Samsung. They've all got like issues with them. I don't know why. They always just seem so clunky and difficult to use. Whenever I use Roku though, it seems like it's such a streamlined experience. Seems like they've built it from the ground up, prepared for streaming. Unlike some of these companies, I think like Vizio, Samsung, stuff like that, that kind of just adapted into it. So I really like Roku. I think Roku is going to be good for the future. And honestly, my own opinion, moving forward, my brother just got a Roku TV and I'm like, I would love to have that TV. I really like it. I think that might be my next TV. So just because it's so simple to use, they've got really good TVs now that look great and stuff too. So that's why I'm really bullish on them. Some of that's kind of anecdotal with myself, but like I said, this is a really down company during this time, so I think they've really got a lot of potential. So moving on to number 2 is COINBASE. So obviously COINBASE came out in 2021, which a lot of companies I'm kind of looking for are companies that came out around that time, because we have been almost on a roller coaster down since that. And of course, with a company like COINBASE, it is obviously pretty big with crypto, and it's something that's just really new to the market with getting a crypto exchange on the stock market. So there's a lot of potential there for it, but of course there's no previous price action you can look at with what it's done in the past. But I mean, I'm pretty bullish on it. I think COINBASE, when you talk to people, is one of the companies that they really know. Now, I personally actually use Binance US for most of the stuff I do. I really like them. It's a great platform. I think they're probably better than COINBASE, but I think COINBASE has become such a household name for people, and it's still a really good platform. I used it for a while before I actually got approved for Binance, because it took me forever to get approved for some reason. So I think COINBASE is going to do well in the future. Of course, there is stuff. I mean, Voyager just went bankrupt and stuff, so things can always happen. But I do think that they probably are a good bet right now to be able to buy into them. And there could be some more pain ahead with them. I'm not so sure that they're necessarily done with dropping. There might be a pretty substantial next drop, and that's honestly kind of what I'm looking for with them, to buy some more. I have a little bit personally, but I think they've got a lot of room to grow. So moving on to the next one, Shopify is a big one. Shopify got crushed this year. If anyone's kept up with this, this is $169 around there at the peak, and it is now down to $31.94. So that is just a massive blow to them. So I personally don't really understand why. I think Shopify is such a big company for entrepreneurs, for the entrepreneur space with selling stuff. Definitely seems like a really good company. The stuff I can tell, at least from the financials, as far as I can understand, like I said, I'm not a stock analyst, seems pretty good. And I think they've just gotten kind of crushed because they probably got overinflated during this time. A lot of things did, obviously. 2020, where you had a lot of this stuff just boom, that was like, oh, people are going to be home, so this is going to be big. But, you know, we're back to levels that are before the pandemic ever happened. We're back to, you know, around, what is that, like June 2019. So I think that's probably a good buy. I think you got a lot of upside potential on that one. So I'm very bullish on that. That's probably one that I don't know as much about the company, but to me, this is a pretty low risk entrance into this company. Of course, things can always drop down. I mean, we could go back down to these, you know, $15 levels and stuff, or maybe even farther. You never know. But I think this is a good place to get in. I like the company, so that's why I'm kind of bullish on that one. So moving on to SMR NewScale, which is one that I've talked about. I've already done a video with Side Hustle Millionaire going over this, talking about it. It's a company that is doing small modular nuclear reactors, which I think is huge technology for the future. I've actually been following this technology before they even hit the stock market here back in March 1st, 2022. I actually didn't even know that they went on the stock market back then, and they traded for around $10 for a while, and it's pretty rough because I bought into their parent company because I thought that was the only way I could get into this. Just never thought that they had their own ticker symbol on the stock market, their own stocks trading. So I bought into the parent company around, I don't know, back in maybe like May or something like that, somewhere around there. And I wish I would have bought into here, because I bought in when I found out they had it was right around July, and that's when the price was still 10. I was like, oh, the price has been 10 for a while, and then boom, it pumped up about 50% to 15. So I just missed that. I don't know why. And then obviously I bought in the video somewhere around the 14 range. So I still feel like I got a decent price. Definitely looking to see if that ever drops back to 10 to pick up some more shares of that. But I'm very bullish on this company. This is a long run company for me. I think this could be huge for the future of energy creation and stuff, for not having to have massive plants. I've talked about this in the video, like I said, but I think they could be a really big company. But obviously they're going to be a high risk company. They're going to be very expensive startup and stuff. So you got high return but high risk on this one, so that's kind of where I am on that. The next one is FUBO. So this is a stock that I lately just kind of looked more into. They did have their investor day, which kind of went over more about what this stock is and stuff and what their plans are, and I was really kind of blown away by what they're planning to do. These are the kind of companies I really look for. I'm very excited with this one because I like companies that are innovating in the space. So FUBO seems like one of those companies that is not just, you know, taking something and like adapting to it, like I said with Samsung, with like streaming services and stuff, and just kind of adapting it because they kind of need to stay relevant. But it's like with FUBO, they're not just a good example would be like DirecTV Stream. So FUBO is a company that does TV, so it does like streaming television and stuff, so it can do football games, any kind of sports, like stuff like that. It's got all that in just TV channels and stuff. So like DirecTV Stream would be a good example where they, I think, have kind of adapted. They haven't been bad. I mean, I don't use them personally, but I would say FUBO is a company that's kind of built from the ground up. So they're not just thinking, how can we, you know, adapt what we have with cable to a streaming platform, but they're actually thinking, how can we redesign television to be what we have now, where it's streaming, it's real time, people can interact with it and stuff, which is huge for ads and stuff. I think that's going to be massive for them in the future. And if you watch their investor day, it's long, it's like an hour long or something, but it's very cool to see what they're planning to do with stuff like ads that can just be targeted like real time, which could seem kind of annoying for you as the user, but for what that could do for their earnings is massive. And just other things too, like being able to have live polls and things like that. I think they're going to be a really cool company. So I'm pretty excited for them. That's a more recent one for me. And of course, I think they're at a decent buy point here because they are they at their 52-week low around there. So yeah, it's pretty big for them. They just came out in 2019, so still pretty new on the stock market too. Pretty new company in general also, but I think that they have got a lot of upside potential. Pretty excited about them. So moving on to the next one is SOFI. Now SOFI is down pretty big. Let's see, their peak was maybe somewhere around 25-ish, somewhere around there, and they're now down to $6. This is one that's probably, again, another company that I'm not super familiar with the business of it, but I can tell you I had SOFI. I used SOFI to refinance my student loans and stuff, and I was very happy with them. They were a good company, and now I've seen they're coming out with stuff like savings accounts that have some of the highest rates out there. There are some stipulations on what you have to do to get it. I use Ally still because Ally is just a good company and easy to get high interest rates, and they keep bumping those up too. But SOFI is definitely doing some stuff in the space. I think, like I said, they were very great to use for loans. I really had a good experience with them, which is not easy to say with some other loan companies I've been with. I've had some bad experiences with stuff, just difficult being able to, do the simple things like being able to set up direct deposit, or not direct deposit, auto payments and stuff like that. So SoFi, I'm pretty bullish for them, but of course that's a company, like I said, I don't know a ton about, but that's more on the financials of it that I would be big on. And also seeing that this hit the stock market around the worst time. I mean, this IPO'd like the worst. This is when we fell off a cliff. The whole stock market just started crumbling. So to me, it's probably undervalued because of the fact that it's just been smashed. I mean, sure, could it have been overvalued from the beginning? It could have been, but I think it's probably a good buy. Like I said, all this stuff still is probably got some way to go down. I think we still got a little bit more pain ahead of us, but that just gives you more buying opportunities. But that's why I'm big on SoFi. So moving on to the next one is an interesting one and probably pretty risky. Carnival. Now, this was a stock I wanted to buy back in 2020 when this massive plummet happened, and I think we are close, if not lower, than the prices it was back then. It's kind of hard to see. So you can see back in 2020, it was trading around $50 a share before the pandemic hit. And when that happened, it just shot down to around 13 bucks. I think it went lower than that. I think this is just all that's showing because it's an average on this. But right now we are down to $10. And I remember thinking back then I wanted to buy this. And I watched it go up after I didn't buy it. And it went almost up to $30 again. And I was thinking, man, I should have bought it. And guess what? Now it's back down. So I'm kind of glad I didn't buy it. But also the same thing could happen now if I bought it now. So, but the crazy thing with Carnival that I want to say, this is one of the wildest things I've seen in the stock market lately, which could be a pretty bad sign. But if you look back here, the price is back down to 1993 prices on this stock, which is just insane. That's almost my entire life that this price has gone back to, which is, it just is wild. It's crazy to think if somebody had bought me a stock of Carnival when I was born, it would basically be worth the same today. So I think that's crazy. One of the craziest charts I've seen through this whole time of downturn. And of course, what could that mean? It could mean that Carnival, maybe they're going to go bankrupt. Maybe the company's going to fall apart. That's always possible. They've had some bad news in the press recently with a ship that caught on fire, and that was really bad for their PR and everything, of course. But I think that Carnival is probably not going to go away, and I think we've still not had the come back to cruises and stuff. I mean, some people still couldn't even cruise because of different rules and stuff that were being enforced. So that's kind of been ignored, I think, a little bit, where they've not really had their full customer base back yet. And I think people need to get back into that routine of, oh, we go on a cruise maybe once a year, we do this, whatever. Like, I think it's definitely going to come back for them, but in the short term, we'll see where things go. I mean, it could get pretty rough. They've got to obviously have pretty high debts on those ships and stuff, and with the interest rates going up, it's probably going to be pretty rough on them. But to me, that's a risk I'm willing to take, because I think that the upside on Carnival is massive. They are just such a household name. It just seems crazy that they would go away. Of course, that can happen. You've seen things like GM go bankrupt, Lehman Brothers. There's been things in the past where massive companies that people said they're too big to fail have failed. But I kind of have that thought on Carnival. Maybe I'll be eating my words later, but it seems like a very high reward to a pretty high risk on this stock. So I'm interested in Carnival, definitely, at these prices. Moving on from there is a company that I just recently started looking more into, Palantir. I actually watch Jeremy from Financial Education on YouTube, if you guys have ever heard of him. He's kind of got me into some of these stocks that I'm about to talk about. But this is one that is pretty big. I think they have a lot of growth potential coming up ahead of them. And they were also another company that came out around 2020. So they kind of had their pump, and now they've kind of had their dump. So they're back down to like the prices that they IPO'd at. They're actually slightly lower, it looks like, than where they IPO'd. So definitely an interesting company. I like to see when that's the case on these prices, because to me that means I'm getting in at a lower risk. Of course, like I said, there's always risk. Lower risk can be mean nothing when the price can just keep falling and falling. I mean, this thing could go down to 20 cents. You never know, and then you lose most of your money. But to me, it's at least better than buying up at these prices and stuff. So Palantir is a company I'm interested in. Another company I'm interested in, again, from Jeremy from Financial Education, is Tattooed Chef. He's very big on this, and I didn't believe in it at first. I gotta say, I was kind of like, I don't really see this company being big. And that was probably around this point, around maybe $10. I started like looking into it and stuff, and I just didn't really think the company was going to be much. Recently, though, I have seen this start popping up a lot around my area in South Carolina. I thought it was a company that, you know, out west, it's like you're getting expensive foods and stuff, and you're going to spend more. Now, I do think that this probably short term is not going to do so great, because of the fact that I think we're going to have a lot less disposable income coming up. I definitely think it's already happening, where people's pockets are getting hit from inflation and from real wages just not growing at good rates and stuff. So I do think stocks like this are going to get kind of hit, but I kind of think it's already been hit pretty hard. So this is starting to look like a pretty good buy point for this stock. But of course, this is one, again, I don't know a ton about this, and I personally don't use this myself. I don't buy Tattooed Chef food products, but I think that they are an interesting company, and I definitely think this looks like a decent price point to get into. So that's why I'm interested in that. And then the next company is The Honest Company. Again, this is another company that came out in 2021, so they have just been obliterated. Oh, that's creepy. I don't know. Let's see if I can get rid of that. That's better. Toyota. That's a scary haunted house that's around here in Greenville that they're giving an ad for. But yeah, this is a company that came out in 2021, so a lot of these companies have just gotten obliterated during that time. Because people just don't have the price action for it. They don't really know where the prices should fall, so they just kind of get blown up. So it's actually down today, and it had pumped a little bit earlier this week. But I think this is a company that's got a lot of potential. It's a beauty products company, household products and stuff like that. Jessica Alba is involved with it, and they've got some big runway ahead of them for earnings. They're definitely got a lot of potential, so I think this is a good price point for them too. Obviously, these kind of companies, when I see them, they've come down so much, and it's like, well, you know, you, like I said, you start to kind of like, how much of the risk is there? Now, of course, right now, like I said, maybe it's not the best time to buy. I think we are going to have a little bit more of a drop, but then again, if you wait for that, you end up with a situation like I had with NewScale, where it was at 10, and then I waited, and now I'm buying at 14. So this is a company I am interested in. And then the next company, actually number 11, there is an extra one on this list, and that is Target. Now, Target, I've got some interest in before this drop too, and I'm really excited that the price has come down some on Target. I think it will come down a little bit more, again, because of disposable incomes going down and stuff. That is definitely going to take a hit on Target. But my biggest reason for why I want to invest in Target is because I think they will be, in the future, one of the biggest players of the metaverse. Now, I know the metaverse has been thrown around and people talk about it with everything. Stuff like Roblox, it's like, oh, that's the metaverse and all these things. But the reason I think Target is going to take off during this time and truly be a player in the metaverse, or whatever that means, is because Target is so good at setting layouts and getting you to buy stuff. I mean, it is hard. The memes of you walk into Target and you can't walk out with stuff, or I saw one that was like, I like to hold my wife's hand while we walk around Target. That way she can't buy stuff. It's definitely true. It's because Target has such a good layout. They're so good at getting you to buy things. And also, they're one of the best platforms, I would say, for shopping on your phone. It is such a simple platform. I mean, when you go to stuff like Walmart, Amazon can be decent, but also when you want to search stuff, especially if you want to price shop on Amazon, it is terrible for it. eBay is very good with price shopping and stuff, but they also kind of have the same layout that they've had for a decade. So, which it works. So if it works, if it's not broken, then why fix it, I guess, in that situation. But Target, I think, has such a good development, such a good user interface, and they're so good at pushing you to buy that when the metaverse becomes bigger and people actually are shopping, there's been many times where I've been like, man, I would just like to put on a VR headset to just walk around a store, because it's harder for me to like look on my phone than to find what I know where it would be in the store, but I just can't think of what the name is or whatever, or price shop very well without seeing it in the store, but I don't want to go to the store or the store's closed or something. That's why I think Target's going to be so big, because you can just imagine people putting on a VR headset to go to Target. Ooh, the dollars are going to pour in for them, especially people who live maybe out in areas that they don't have Target. Target's not the closest place to us, even where we live. It's about maybe a 15-minute drive, and we even live downtown Greenville, but it's just because Target doesn't have tons and tons of locations like some of these other companies, like, you know, Dollar Tree or like Walmart or something. They seem to be like all over the place. But I think this is going to be huge for them, because I think that Target is really going to take off when people can have the opportunity to buy more stuff at Target just by throwing a headset on, especially late night shopping and stuff where it's just, you know, QVC is not going to have the whole industry now where you can throw a headset on and you can go Target shopping. And again, like I said, the price has come down some, which is not common with Target. I mean, Target's normally kind of upward trend. It has exploded though during 2020, so I would like to see come down some more. This is definitely one that I'm thinking is not at the best buying point right now, but again, like I said, with what I think they have the opportunity of in the future with all that stuff, I think they're gonna really take off. But those are my 10, actually 11 companies that I'm very interested in buying for 2023. I think that these companies are really going to make some massive moves in 2023, as long as we can, you know, make things get back to normal, we can get out of this recession and stuff. I think that those are really going to move whenever that happens. Maybe it's not 2023, but you know, that's what I'm thinking. But of course, I'm not buying these just for 2023 anyway. I am buying most of these just for the long run. These are companies that I'm interested in, I think have a really bright future ahead of them. And they're the companies that I'm planning to invest in for Side Hustle Millionaire. I may do a video where I just work and save up a bunch of money and then put it into these like it's a fund, or I might do them individually like I kind of have. I'm not sure. We'll see where the prices go. If prices really start to fall again and things start to get even cheaper than where they are now, definitely going to be interested in getting into more of these and buying more shares of these companies. But that's kind of where my thoughts are on it. Like I said, I'm not a stock analyst. These are just companies that I'm interested in, that I want to put some money into to see where they go. So maybe take a look into them yourself, but I'm not telling you what to do. This is not financial advice. I'm just a guy on YouTube with a mustache talking about money. But thank you guys so much for watching. If you guys like the video, remember to do the cheapest thing you can today. Tap that like button. Also subscribe to the channel to keep up with more of this and the Side Hustle Millionaire portfolio. And I've got a big announcement coming up probably next week, so stay tuned for that. And I will see you guys in the next video. And remember, stay cheap.
Hey, you better be saving that money. Don't you be spending it now. You're still here watching this? You might as well just subscribe. Why would you not at this point?